This time is different, and that could be a major problem with Bitcoin. Look at this chart. Have you seen this chart right here? Bitcoin is about to have a 5-day death cross, but it's acting completely different than it did in 2018 and very different than it did in 2015. We could be in some trouble, and this could be some early warning sign for Bitcoin and the coming future of Bitcoin. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into the facts, and we're going to uncover the facts, and you are going to leave with a clear understanding of how this 5-day death cross is going to take everybody by surprise. If you're new here, my name is Steve. I went from welfare to minting millionaires, and I'm here to actually help you make better decisions in crypto and get closer to your financial freedom. Hit that subscribe button right now. We're going to be jumping into this chart. Okay, what we have is our 50 MA and our 200 MA, and we're on the 5-day chart. And things are not looking good, meaning we're about to have a death cross. Our death cross is when the green line, the 50 MA, crosses below the 200 MA, and it signals a major market shift depending on the time frame. Now, what you can see right in front of you is that it's acting differently than it did in 2018, and it's acting differently than it did in 2015. And these are the only two other 5-day death crosses Bitcoin has ever seen. So why are things acting differently? Why is price action not following what it did in the other two cycles? That's what we're going to unveil. I do want to mention we just released our free market report, and it's on fire. People are absolutely loving it. The brand new edition. We talk a lot about some critical charts here. There's some beautiful charts, beautiful information all laid out for you, including a lot of the information and the research that you need to know about Ethereum and what's happening. All of that for free. If you are on our email list, go in your inbox right now. It's sitting beautifully there for you. If you want it, it's simple. Go to cryptocrewuniversity.com and put in your email and click here. You're also going to get some other cool things for free right now. Go do that right now, cryptocrewuniversity.com, and then you'll have all of these beautiful market reports in the future every week. Absolutely free. Now, back to our chart. Now, what you'll notice right now in price action, I want you to see what price action is doing right now. Look at where our red line is right now. Look at where our green line is right now and compare that to past cycles. And we've got a major problem. I want to start by talking about how these are similar. And then I'm going to talk about how they're different and how it's acting differently. And then I'm going to follow that up with what I think is going to happen. We're going to do it in that order. First, we're going to talk about how these charts are similar, how 2022 is similar to 2018 and similar to 2015. Then we're going to talk about how they're different and why that's a problem. And then we're going to talk about what I think is going to happen. So let's start with number one. How are they similar? Well, if we go back to 2015, and again, we've only had a couple of these in Bitcoin's entire history. When the green line crosses below the red line, what you'll notice is we're going to look at when our bottom was, right? And we're just going to take a measured move to the cross, meaning we're looking at when the market bottomed versus when we had this 5-day death cross. And we noticed that when we bottomed to the time of the 5-day death cross was about 125 days back in 2015. We want to understand timing, like where are we at? Are we on schedule? Are we ahead of schedule? Or are we behind schedule? So remember that number. Now we get to 2018, the second time in history for Bitcoin that this green line crossed below the red line. We know now that this was the market bottom, right? Let's take a measurement from this market bottom to the point of when we had this death cross, and it's 135 days. So the first one was 125, and this one was 135, almost the same. So 135 days after the market bottom, we had this beautiful 5-day death cross. Now let's look at 2022, because maybe that could be very different, right? Maybe this could be way off. But on this channel, we have called a little over 90 days ago that the bottom was in. I know it's highly controversial. I know everybody wants to say that we're wrong, that we're going a lot lower, and that's fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. We base everything off of facts, and so far, those are the facts that are more probable than not. So let's hypothetically say this is the bottom. Could we be on schedule? Because it was 125 days in 135 days. And we, knowing the charts, we have to know if it's similar or really different, or there's something majorly wrong, right? So let's hypothetically say that it's the bottom. Now we're going to when we're projected to cross, which is October 3rd, we're projected to have this 5-day death cross. It'll be 110 days. Right in line. When the 115, 125 days, it's right in line, okay? So that part, we're good, okay? And you can see that this is an indicator actually my students have for free, where it projects out where these death crosses will go, and you can see the dots will cross on October 3rd. It also projects it out well into the future to see where those lines are. They will come in handy in a moment. But that's how things are similar. We can say, okay, if this hypothetically is the bottom, we're going to have this 5-day death cross in a pretty similar fashion than the others. And by the way, when we had this 5-day death cross back in 2015, it was another signal that the bottom was in, right? We had this death cross, the bottom was in, and we had already been pretty much halfway through this bear market, and things were on the up and up, right? And same in 2018. We had this death cross here, the bottom was already in, and we were well on our way into the next bull run really starting. Okay, so that is a clear indication of how things are similar. We don't technically know if the bottom is in or not, but here's where things get really interesting. When you start taking a deeper look at this chart and you start asking yourself, how have things acted similar or different? Well, in 2018 and in 2015, what we did with price action was obviously we had a bottom, but we battled with this red line. We battled it. We drove all the way up. We even had a wick all the way through. We even had a couple bodies through here. We even had one body close above, right? And we didn't battle it just once. We battled it 2, 3 times, battled this red line. Now in 2018, we also battled this red line. Look at, we bottomed here. We battled all the way back up, rallied all the way up to hit this red line. And then we did again here, right? Before the 5-day death cross. So there was 2 touch points here and 3 earlier where price had such bullish movement that we rallied all the way up to this red line. Now I want you to look at 2022 because this is where things start to take a turn. This is where things start to act differently. You can see the red line presented in front of you. It's the 200 MA, and again, we're on the 5-day. We hypothetically bottomed here, but we have not rallied even close to this red line. Keep in mind, before we had the 5-day death cross, there were at least 2 touch points on this red line and sometimes upwards of 3, which we had in 2015. We've had 0, and we haven't even come close. It's not like we rallied up close to the red line and we're like, we'll call it quits. We'll rally back down. No, we haven't even come close. So this is where things start acting differently. Yes, we are about 110 days in. Yes, it's marked the market bottom before. Yes, it marked that the bottom was in and that the bull run was commencing. All of those things are true except for the bullishness. So then we ask ourselves, why is Bitcoin not as bullish as before? And what levels are these anyway? What levels would this even be at? If we look at the current candle, which will close in a couple days, we have to go up to the current candle to know that it's about 30K. Meaning Bitcoin should have rallied up to 28 or 30K a few times by now, and it hasn't. So what does that mean? What's my opinion? What do I think is going to happen? Now that we've presented all of the facts, these are just the facts, everything that we presented so far, which is why you just subscribe to our channel. The only thing we talk about are the facts. We don't talk about our emotional opinion. When we called for the bottom to be in, we based it on about 7 different charts and only the facts. And again, going against the herd, right? That's why you just subscribe to our channel. Now that we've laid out the facts, you have all of the facts in front of you. And by the way, look at how this green line is and how have we played with the green line before? Because when we rallied up to the red line and we finally broke through it, we had to really get through this green line as well. And once we did that, we were off to the races. And if we look at 2015, right, we battled this red line once, twice, 3 times, but we also battled the green line, right? And once we finally got above both, holding both as support, then the bull run was really true, right? We have to hold both of these as support. And once we started to do that here, that's when we are off to the races. And you can say the same is true for 2018. Once we held both the red line and the green line as support, that's when prices exploded. That's what we're looking for, but we're so far away from them. The green line, as we speak with this current candle, is at roughly 31K and clearly dropping. You can project it out to be roughly on November 2nd, this green line will be roughly 27K, and the red line on the same date would be roughly 30K, and you can project it all the way out here. You can see even in January, we'll be down here at 21K, right? Depending on when we rally. Now, the question becomes, well, what do I think about this? Because clearly there are some similarities. Clearly there's some data points that we can draw on, but there are clear differences. And there's the clear-cut differences. Why isn't Bitcoin being bullish at all whatsoever, rallying up to 28, 30K? We should have had multiple touch points by now. What do I think is happening? Well, here's my honest take. And I'll leave you guys with these honest takes, okay? What I see happening is I still believe Bitcoin has bottomed. There's still a lot of evidence to suggest that. Although in the next video, I'm going to show you something that scares me a little bit. It's a chart that I showed you a few weeks ago that's gotten aggressively worse. So make sure you subscribe for that one as well. But in the big picture, at this moment, I still believe that the bottom is in. Now the question is, why hasn't Bitcoin been bullish? Is there something wrong? Could this mean turmoil? I think the short answer is no. It doesn't mean turmoil. It means that when we bottomed, we still haven't seen a lot of bullishness in the market, which is a good thing. We've been moving sideways, creating a base, which is another good thing. But the market's been relatively stagnant, which is also a good thing and a common thing for bull runs. Now, here's where things get interesting. I think if Bitcoin in the next couple of weeks rallied up here, it would be a little bit out of the ordinary to most people. But now that you've watched this video, you will say, oh, that's par for the course. We're supposed to rally up to this red line and we're supposed to get resistance. What I think is going to happen is Bitcoin is going to continue to move sideways and we're eventually going to rally up to this red line and we should get rejection. We should also get some resistance from this green line. And I think those are next, but I think we're on schedule. It's just Bitcoin is moving a little bit slower. Make sure you go into cryptocrewuniversity.com, sign up here to get that market report. Make sure you subscribe. Our next video is going to be incredible. I'll see you right back here in the next video. Peace and love to the fellow underdogs. Do you want to know when to buy and when to sell? Click this video right now.